What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the stream. I see all you guys calling me late boy again. Calling me late boy, late boy, late boy, late boy. Well, you know what? I am late boy. I hope you guys had a fantastic day, though. It was a pretty good Thursday overall for a lot of different reasons, guys. We'll go over all those reasons, but overall for the macro, for Bitcoin, for not so much altcoins. There's some altcoins that performed very well today, but overall it was a pretty good day. I caved, guys. Hold on. I caved and got some Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, I had to get some Dunkin' Donuts tonight, to wake me up a little bit. But I got caffeine in me now, and I'm ready to rock and roll here. So, what is Bitcoin doing right now? Well, let's sort of start out on the daily time frame, because this is what I really want to talk about today. Of course, we had a second big green day in a row. I mean, not really a big day, but, close to 3% day for Bitcoin. Pretty good day today for Bitcoin. Now, we had a couple reasons for that, right? A couple reasons for that. So, obviously, the dollar got a big rejection at our previous high. Will that continue for the dollar? That's going to tell us what's going to be happening here over the next couple of days. But you can see a pretty big rejection here on the dollar index on our previous high up here. So we talked about there's a lot of resistance here on the dollar, and that could bring Bitcoin down, bring Bitcoin up if the dollar drops here. We'll see if that trend continues, but so far so good on that, guys. Which inherently also brought up the S&P, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. But let's start out with Bitcoin. Just want to let you know the basic reasons why we saw a nice run up here for Bitcoin today. Now, guys, you saw the title of the stream. What was it, right? Bitcoin has to break this resistance. This is a big area for Bitcoin. Like I said, I feel like every day we say every day is a big area for Bitcoin. But if you look at the charts, guys, we were talking about this yesterday. Like we got an initial rejection at this level yesterday. But today, now we're in this red box. Why is this so big? Well, this was our previous support all throughout here. What we don't want to do here, okay, is flip this old support into resistance, right? We don't want to do the classic support into resistance flip where we get rejected here and move back down. Now, what could bring us up, right? Well, we've been talking about, okay, we'll come back to the daily chart in a second. What have we been talking about? Well, we've been talking about our falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern, and I do expect to break up to the upside to bring us back up to that 50, whatever we went up to, $53,000 region at some point, right? At some point. Do we have to do it right now? That's what we're going to watch and waiting to see. We got pretty close to hitting 45,000 right before the stream. I was hoping that we were going to go for it, but, it doesn't seem like Bitcoin wants to do it right this second. Could see it coming up, guys. Could see it coming up shortly. But, dude, look at where we're at right now. So we got an initial rejection on this 100 4-hour EMA, right? So I was sort of looking at this, the 50 and the 200 are a little bit more up here, but the 100 EMA is giving a little bit of resistance here on the wedge. Now, if we can break this, which I don't expect this to be a major resistance. I don't see, looking left, I mean, there's not too much resistance in this general area. So I don't see why, other than this exponential moving average, which, some traders might be looking at and things like that nature. I don't see anything that's going to keep Bitcoin from at least coming back up to test the top of this wedge. I mean, personally, I just think here would be a weird reason for it to reverse. We know Bitcoin tends to do weird things, right? It would just seem like this would be a weird area for Bitcoin to just turn around and go back down, which, it's Bitcoin. We can't predict short-term movements, but to me, I think it's at least logical what I'm seeing on the charts that Bitcoin at least comes back up and tests, somewhere around the $46,000 range. Maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow. Let's hope it's tonight. I mean, let's get some fun stuff going on the stream tonight. But hey, let's see what's going on here, though. I think we at least come back up and test this at some point. The one thing I will note, guys, is our 4-hour stock RSI is topped out. Now, Does that necessarily mean that we have to pull down? No, no. But at some point, we'll probably take a breather. I mean, we pretty much, for the most part, have just seen green 4-hour candles all the way up, with the exception of maybe a couple red. But, you know, it's probably likely we see maybe 1, 2, 3 string together to reset that 4-hour stock RSI at some point. It's just a matter of when. And us being topped out does not mean that we have to pull back. I mean, you look back over here, we strung together, you know, a move from 46,000 all the way up to 48,500 with that 4 RSI stocked out. 4 RSI stocked out. The 4-hour stock RSI topped out, right? So we could still make some upwards movement even with that. 4-hour RSI has room to run up, guys. I think it's. I'm just seeing that it's logical for us to go back up and test this level first, and then we kind of can see, does Bitcoin want to come back down to our big golden pocket, right? Do we come back up here, get rejected, come back down to our golden pocket zone, which is that $36,000 to $37,000 level that we've been talking about? I always say verbatim, but I don't know if I use the word correctly, guys. Let me know in the chat right now. Do I use the word verbatim correctly? Because I don't think I do. I don't think I do. If I use the word verbatim wrong, hit that like button, because I'm pretty sure I used the word wrong. So I mean, hit that like button for me using it wrong. But if we get rejected, maybe we come back down to the golden pocket and bounce back up. That's sort of the short-term bearish scenario, bullish scenario, which I could see happening too. I mean, like we said, guys, the dollar keeps dropping, Bitcoin's going to keep going up. The stock market keeps going up, Bitcoin's going to go up, right? And so far, so good. That's sort of what we were talking about. If these macro things turn around for us, Bitcoin's going to do a... right? And so far, so good. So we'll see. Bitcoin could just come up here and break out of the wedge at some point. But I obviously wanted to touch on my favorite pattern, which is the falling wedgie. Okay? Maybe I'll give Bob another wedgie at some point during the stream. Maybe. We'll find out. But that's the 4-hour. Hourly, not much really going on. I didn't really want to touch too much on the 1 hour because, guys, it's... I don't even like looking at the 4-hour. You guys know me. You guys know I make videos and I talk about mainly the daily and the weekly because that's really what matters. Even the daily, it's like, I don't like looking at these short-term time frames, but, you know, we'll look at it. So the 1 hour. Basically what I'm looking at here is, you know, we had some resistance here, and originally that looked like, you know, Bitcoin could turn back down here and come back down. What did it do instead? Well, it actually broke back above this resistance line and now has confirmed it as support. Will it use that for a launch pad to bring us up to our next resistance point? We're going to have to wait and see, right? We're going to have to wait and see. It definitely could. Like, you can see Bitcoin keeps trying to go up to 45,000 and you can tell it wants to at least test it to break it. Will that happen? We'll have to wait and see. Same thing with the 4-hour though, guys. The stock RSI is topped out. Does that mean we have to have a pullback right now? The answer is a fat
Nope. Nope.
And one more.
Nope.
Bitcoin could just go back up here. 1 hour RSI, which I care more about the RSI than the stock RSI, to be honest. I just like using both lately. But dude, this has room to run up. This still has room to run. So if Bitcoin wants to have one more big run, it can. It can still have it. You know, the room is still there. So let's not act like Bitcoin can't pump up, you know, to, you know, when we talk about that $46,000 level before we get a reversal. We just got to break this little, this stupid EMA right here. This 104-hour EMA, which we wicked up to perfectly twice and haven't been able to break it yet. So we'll continue to monitor that, guys. But it really comes down to this daily. You know, we were sort of looking at the $44,600 area. So far, you know, we keep wicking above it, but can we get a daily close above that level? We got very close. We got very, very close. It's going to be an interesting daily close tonight. It's going to be an interesting daily close. As we know, guys, the expiration, I think it's the options expiration. Options or futures, one of the two. The max pain price was $44,000. Where is Bitcoin sitting right now? Okay, sitting right at $44,700. So it's pretty funny, man, how some of that stuff works out. You know, whether we have volatility to the upside or downside, it always seems like we tend to gravitate towards that price. And, you know, what do we used to talk about a lot, guys? I think we sort of forgot that a lot of the times back in the day, you know, the end of the months going into those tended to be pretty bearish, you know, if we sort of remember a lot of those times, right? I mean, you can go back and look, guys. I mean, just look. I mean, the end of January, right here, right? That's where we sort of bottomed out. Last week, we started to move up. End of February, last week, we started to move up. End of March, started to move up. End of April, started to move up, right? End of May, started at least got an initial move up. We came back down. And then sort of towards the end of July, we started to move back up. And what do you know? Like towards the end of June was a relative short-term bottom too. So you can see like these last weeks of the month tend to be, if you go back and look, tend to be sort of relative either short-term bottoms or macro bottoms for Bitcoin, right? So we'll see what happens here. But I thought it was kind of funny that we tend to be sitting right at that $44,000 level. Which has been widely discussed on a bunch of different channels and things like that, right? Look at daily RSI, looking to flip resistance to support. Draw the line from May 19th. Let's see. So flip resistance as support. What's up, Rob? Hope you're doing good, man. Yeah, so previous... trying to flip resistance as support. The daily RSI. I don't know. We'll come back to this, but say you're saying trust the moon phases. Maybe, right? Maybe. Drew said I see a lot of bearishness. There's still a lot of bearishness, guys. What have I always said? It might seem on YouTube that the majority is bullish, okay? But YouTube's only part of the situation. Most people on YouTube are crypto fans, so they're naturally going to be more bullish. Now, there are bears on YouTube. Don't get me wrong, but the general sentiment around crypto is still bearish. Still very, very bearish. Why do you think the Fear and Greed Index, even after pumping yesterday, was still sitting at a 27, right? There's still a lot of skepticism in the market. And until that starts turning around, until we start getting up to like the 80, 90 level, then, dude, if we stay in the 20s on the Fear and Greed Index, when we're sitting at 45,000 and the Fear and Greed Index yesterday was at a 27. Think about that for a second. Last time we were at 44. Do I have to remind people that last time we were at 45,000, what were we doing? Last time we were sitting at 45,000, everyone was dancing. Half the names I see in here that are bearish right now were dancing last time we were going up. Now, we're sitting at a 27 on the Fear and Greed Index. Literally a 27. So, just remember the sentiment of the market is still bearish, guys. I remember over here when this was like the most bullish part of the move. Everyone was pumped. Now everyone's super bearish because we had a pullback. People forget that pullbacks happen in crypto, guys. Pullbacks happen in crypto. It's not always rainbows and sunshines in crypto space, right? It's not always eating cotton candy. It's not always eating hot dogs with ketchup. Yes, I eat hot dogs with ketchup. Don't hate if you don't like hot dogs with ketchup. It's not always good things, right? So just remember the sentiment is still bearish, still very bearish. What I wanted to touch on real quick. Let's actually, so we know the deal. We know the deal on the daily. You know, for whatever reason, if we get rejected from this level, which we can't rule out, right? Well, we still, all along, we talked about for, 2 weeks, as Bitcoin was dropping down here, that, a relative target is somewhere in that $37,000 to $38,000 range, right? So, for whatever reason, if we do get rejected here, don't be surprised if that happens. We've been talking about that for weeks, right? Don't be surprised. Do I think we're going to go down there? You guys know I don't like to make, short of predictions. Predictions in crypto are it's completely pointless to make predictions in crypto. But, you know, do I think that we go back down to that level? Based on what I see on some of the indicators and what we would sort of be looking at, I don't know, right? I don't know, to be honest, because I don't know, man. I still think that the sentiment, the whales, makes more sense for the whales to push up the price right now based off the disbelief in the market right now. That's the way I'm looking at it, right? That's the way I'm looking at it. Fear and greed at 27. People still relatively bearish. That's the way I'm looking at it. Now, let's go over into the weekly, guys. A couple different things I want to touch on the weekly that could potentially be extremely bullish for us going forward, okay? Now, one thing I do want to break here is you can see on the weekly RSI, guys, we have this clear downtrend of resistance on the weekly RSI. You can see here, I mean, it's pretty clear, right? 3 touches coming down. It's almost perfect, right? This is one thing I'm watching, you know, because we'll look at the monthly in a second, but the monthly is also a great indicator on this. So we know what we did up here. Well, we bounced off our weekly support band at our 20 EMA and our 20 SMA. Okay, hit the like button for the 20 EMA and 20 SMA, by the way. Hit the like button if you're a Ben Cowan fan. It's one of the only one or two YouTubers that I watch, by the way. Well, I watch multiple, but we'll talk about that later in the stream. We always talk about that somehow, but 2 YouTubers. Got Ben Cowan. But dude, we bounced off the weekly support band, right? So also, we bounced off the previous high, right? So we've talked about this. As long as we hold these 2 levels, right? The yellow line here, which is our previous highs on the weekly, and the weekly support band, all is good in crypto land. We can see short-term volatility below it. Like we said, we can have wicks below it. We can have crazy stuff going on intra-week. But as long as we close above it, we're good. And now we are making ourselves some room here going into the weekend, right? Going into the weekend. So we have room to have some volatility here. We could even fall down to 40,800 and still be in, or still be above the 20-week SMA. So that's something that we'll watch. Now, one thing I am also watching on that weekly, like we said, this downtrend of resistance on the weekly RSI. We could potentially, now obviously this is potentially, if Bitcoin has one big week, something that I am watching here is one big week could push Bitcoin above this weekly RSI downtrend, right? So this is something I am keeping an eye on here, because I do think this could have a pretty nice impact. And I think that this is something that we should definitely keep our eye on. I think, you know, do we continue to get rejected off this and continue down here? Or can we break this weekly RSI downtrend and continue up? What's my guess? Well, you guys know I'm long-term bullish. And when we're looking at the weekly charts, I do expect us to break this to the upside, okay? No matter the short-term volatility, no matter what happens day to day, right? No matter what happens day to day. So look at that. Hey, bud, can we get some special condiment emojis? Yeah, we can get special condiment emojis. But yeah, I mean, that's what I'm watching. Can we break this on the weekly? It'll be a good indicator there. You know, it would probably only take like one big week too. If we can have one pretty good sizable week, maybe a move up. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but maybe a move up to like 50,000 could potentially break us above that, potentially, depending on where we end this week, right? The monthly chart, guys, and this is something we haven't looked over in a while, but I wanted to touch back on. Dude, we know on the monthly, when we look at the monthly RSI, we usually double top on the monthly RSI, right? At least in the 2 previous markets that we have. Now, like we always said, it's only 2 data points, so we can't take too much from it, right? Crypto in general differs from market to market. It's a lot different of a market than it was in 2017, 2013. All right, we know all this stuff. But that's all we have to look at. Typically, on the monthly time frame, we do see a monthly double top, right? And to me, we haven't got that yet. We haven't got that on the RSI yet. So once again, I'm still watching for that double top. And what's fun about the monthly RSI is we have some serious room to run up. Now we have some serious room to run up. So this, if you know, whenever this second run does come, I think it's going to be a pretty nice one. You know, we might move up fast, right? If that does happen, you're going to see this move up fast. Obviously, if it's slow and methodical going into next year, which I do expect, right? I do expect Bitcoin to top out in 2022. If it's slow and methodical, well, you know, that could even be even more fun, right? Because the time, as we like to say, time is on our side, right? Time is on our side. So the longer Bitcoin takes to move up, the higher it could potentially get, in my opinion. Now, a lot of people like to say, oh, Jordan, you look at the 12-month moving average. Yes, we look at the 12-month moving average. I mean, it's the 12-month is not some random number, too. I'm not pulling out the, you know, 3,506 month moving average. I'm not pulling out the 117 HMA. I'm not pulling out the 246 EMA, right? 12 months. Right? 1 year. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. When we look at this, like I said, guys, I mean, it's been perfect support when Bitcoin's in a bull market until we break below this in the longer term time frames. When Bitcoin's in a bull market, it has never broken below the 12-month moving average. It's one of the only moving averages you can find that I've seen that shows accurately, you know, when you're in a bull market and when you're in a bear market. It shows both, right? It's not just a bullish indicator. You know, all through 2013, you were above it. There's plenty of moving averages that you actually broke back above and then went back below. That's why I don't love, say, the 20-week SMA and the 20-week EMA. They're great. They're great for the weekly time frame, right? But when you want to zoom out, the 12-month moving average is one of the only ones where in bull markets, you're above it. In bear markets, you're below it. Okay, in 2013, you were above it the entire time, and you got to bounce on it right here. You came back up. And then you went into a bear market. And when you back above it, you're in a bull market, below bear. Okay, and you actually come back up and test it as resistance in a bear market too, right? Coming back up, bull, obviously with Black Swan event, you probably would have rode this. What's interesting, if you look, we probably would have just rode this if we didn't have the Black Swan event in March, right? We probably would have just bounced, and eventually started it, right? And then that's what's interesting. And you guys can see what we did here, right? So far, so good. We've had wicks below it, but we haven't had that close below it, you know. And so until we have that close on the monthly, on the 12-month moving average, there's nothing to fret about. All is good in crypto land, just like the 20-week EMA and 20-week SMA. Okay, just done that, man. 12-month MA for a weekly. But you can see this, dude. Right now, that sits at 38,600. Okay, 38,600 is where that sits. So as long as we close September above 38,600, hey, you know what I gotta say? You know what I gotta say? Hold on. Let me bust. I gotta bust out the moon helmet. I'm being a little careful with the moon helmet, guys, because you know why? You know why I'm being careful with the moon helmet? Because we are at resistance right now. But you know what? I am at that point where we're putting on the moon helmet and, you know, we're going to have some fun. We're going to have some fun because though we're at the resistance level, I do think that Bitcoin on tonight's close could see a break of it. I really do. I really do. As you know, it's the last, is it the last Thursday? Actually, no, it's not the last Thursday. But, last Friday coming up tomorrow, and the second to last Thursday coming up today. I do think tonight after the close, we could be seeing a break above 45,000 on tonight's close. We just got to break, dude. It's literally just an EMA, man. There's not much resistance at this level, dude. I mean, you got a little bit of a low here. You know, you're above this low. You're above this low. You're above this low. You're above this low. So, dude, all it really is this little low here, which in the 104-hour EMA. I don't think that's going to hold you down here. I do think that even though some of your stock RSIs and hourly RSIs are a little overbought, I do think Bitcoin breaks this either today or tomorrow, and at least comes back up and tests this resistance line here. And then once we get up there, we'll see what happens, right? We'll see what happens. I mean, we know the short-term volatility, guys. You guys have been watching this channel for a while. We sort of we know the short-term volatility, but hey, let's see if we break 45,000 tonight. let's see what the poll's saying. So will Bitcoin break 45K tonight? We have 71% yes, 29% no. Guys, 71% yes. That doesn't match the fear and greed index. Doesn't match the fear and greed index at all, man. All right. Last thing. We haven't looked at this in a while, but I also wanted to bring this up, guys. Basically what this is the so what this takes is the Bitcoin's it's a little bit hard to explain, but Bitcoin's average when it's below the 20-week moving average. So what I like to basically use this as is the overvaluation of the mean, right? I mean that's what I kind of call this. So overvaluation from the mean. So it's been pretty good. If you look down here, it's been pretty good at predicting the tops for BTC. It's been pretty good, right? So it's sort of a down sloping. Obviously, we have diminished returns over time, so it's going to be down sloping. But you can see, I mean, 2011, right? 2013, 2017, and we haven't reached that yet. So this is one thing I do watch, and always watching to see if, you know, maybe if we're a little bit overvalued here. I don't think we're overvalued. I do think that we do still have some room to run up here. A good amount of room, in my personal opinion. Not a crazy amount of room. We're not going to Moon Boy Central to 300 and 400K, but I do think that we do still have some room left to run in this market, guys. You guys know that by now. But we haven't looked at this in a while. I just want to kind of give an update on kind of where this is, in my opinion. So we'll continue to watch this, but it is something that I am watching. Chad is bullish, I'm bearish. Guys, you can't... What I sort of say is you can't take the sentiment from a YouTube chat, right? So I know a lot of times I'm like, all right, the chat's super bearish today. That makes me bullish, right? I get it. But I think it's more important to look at other social medias too. And usually when I say that, I usually look at Reddit. If Reddit's bearish, you know what's probably going to happen. If Twitter's bearish, right, you usually know what's going to happen. Same thing with bullish. But what I say about crypto is when crypto's bullish, when the sentiment in crypto is bullish, you still can pump. I mean, the sentiment for crypto was bullish besides a select few people this whole time on the way up. All right, this whole time on the way up, the sentiment was bullish. That's what I will say about crypto is when the sentiment is bullish, you know, it's a little bit different when it's bearish, in my opinion. I don't know, because the sentiment can be bearish on the way down too. So sentiment's a good indicator, but I always take it with a grain of salt sometimes. Sometimes I find myself, you know, being too bullish when everyone's bearish and, you know, vice versa, right? My linky stay slinky. Never reach, Dale probably got wrecked and is pissed off now. Dale was in here earlier. I don't know where Dale went. All right, guys, let's go check out ETH. Go check out Ethereum.
This is my wife, Ethereum.
So ETH, I made an ETH video today, guys. If you missed it, I mean, we basically just talked about how ETH is following the fractal, guys. Following the fractal that it had down here, right? It topped out, came back down to the topped out once, came back down to our weekly support band on ETH, which I have is the 20 and 30 SMAs. Bounced off of it, came back up, had a double top in 2017, came back down to the weekly support band again, found support, and sort of rode it on the way up, right? And that's what you're doing now. So exactly what you're doing now. Top, came back down to the weekly support band, bounced off of it, came back up, double top, came back down to the weekly support band. We'll see if Ethereum does the same thing. We'll see if Ethereum does the same thing. The price action just looks very, very similar, albeit it could easily change, right? We know this could easily change, but that's sort of what I'm looking at for Ethereum, right? And you guys know Ethereum's my wife. I mean, I'm not going to talk crap about Ethereum. Also, guys, I mean, when you look at ETH, right, on the daily, I'm watching a wedgie. Now, there's wedgies all over the place. There's wedgies for Bitcoin. There's wedgies for Ethereum. There's wedgie for total market cap, the total 2 market cap. There's wedgies everywhere you look on the charts right now. ETH, I really like. Okay, not because she's my wife, but you know, just for the simple fact that I do love ETH wedgie. Now, the breakout target would be upwards of 4,000 for ETH. Now, if we look at some of our indicators here, let me just bring up, let me get rid of this guy here. Let me just bring up our RSI. Here, we're looking for that. So yeah, I mean, the daily RSI and this is what really matters to me, guys. I mean, the daily RSI for ETH is, you got plenty of room to run now. And that's what's so good about that's correction we had, guys. I mean, we've talked about this a lot, but last time we were at this level, which was right here, back in August, the beginning of August, right here, last time we were at this level, Ethereum's daily RSI was topped out. Now what we've done with this correction, and this is what's so good, and this is what gets me excited for what could possibly happen here over the next couple weeks, guys, especially if they keep going burr. If they keep going burr, right? This is what gets me excited. We're at that same exact level that we were back here. RSI was topped out. Look at where we're on now. We're all the way down here. So now if we want to have a run up, we have so much more room to run. And it just really gets me excited for, what could happen here over the next couple weeks. I do think that it could get pretty good. It could get really good here over the next couple weeks. Obviously, you guys know I tend to temper my expectations. I'm not as much as a moon boy as a lot of people, and I don't think that we're gonna shoot up in a straight shot. But I do think based off the longer term charts, you can stare at the 1 hour, the 4 hour all you want, but the longer term charts show you what they're showing me, right? They show you what they're showing me. So put on a cowboy hat and ride the bull. We're not going to do that. Now, one thing we talked about in the video, guys, is last time in 2017, we came back down to the 200 day EMA for Ethereum twice, right? So, the fractal we just looked at, we came back down to it once, came back down to it twice. We haven't came back down to it twice yet, but I don't know if necessarily have to do it. It looks like we're probably going to, if we didn't get that bullish news, with the Evergrande bailout and tapering being pushed out. But you could see here, I mean, we didn't quite come back down to it a second time. Like we said, we came back down to it once. Obviously, we had some other stuff going on here. Came back down, didn't come back down to it once. We don't have to necessarily come back down to it again, but if we did, that sits at about 2,500. Still could come back down to that level at some point. Never can rule that out, but what I'm seeing on the charts, I don't know if we got down there. I really don't. It's going to depend, obviously, on what Bitcoin does at the end of the day. But based on what I'm seeing in the total 2, total 3 market caps, I'm just not seeing it, man. It's not seeing it. Jordan has diamond nips. Man. That's funny, dude. I feel like it was too easy and everyone I know bought the dip on the spaceship to the moon. If everyone I know bought the dip, then that's not the dip. That's not true. Guys, you can't just base it off, your tight group of people that love crypto. People that love crypto are gonna be more off to buy the dip. Don't base it off YouTube. Go look on Twitter, all right? Go look on Reddit. There's people saying, "Oh, I sold my bags. It's done 2 days ago. Oh, I sold my bags. This is going straight to 30K." There's a lot of people that did that. So don't go based off of, maybe your 3 friends that bought the dip with you because you guys love crypto, or don't go based off, a YouTube chat thinking that the sentiment is bullish. The sentiment is not bullish. Okay, the sentiment is not bullish. It's why the fear and greed index has been at a 20 the last 2 days. Okay, the sentiment is not bullish. So I don't want to hear in the chat that, oh, everyone's bullish. Everyone's bullish right now. Everyone is not bullish. It's just the people you're seeing in the chat, because people that usually watch YouTube streams are mostly bulls. There are bears, but they're mostly bulls. So take a YouTube chat with a grain of salt, right? YouTube chat. All right, let's see. So Yeah, we won't talk about this, guys. If you want a ETH Bitcoin ratio, if you guys want to watch that after the stream, go check out my Ethereum video after the stream. Let's quickly go over to Cardano. Cardino. Let's see. Cardino. My sentiment is always bullish. Let's see. So Cardino. Few people here said they sold Monday. Yeah, a lot of people in here said they sold. You know what I mean? It's why, dude. How many times? All right. We don't know where we're going, right? We don't know where we're going. But say if Bitcoin does go back up here, right? Say if Bitcoin just goes back up, doesn't have a dip lower. That's why I tell people you're not going to time the tops and bottoms. Like two days ago, people were saying it's the end. We're going straight down, which still could. I mean, guys, it still could happen. But my basic philosophy I'm trying to say is, you know, trying to time the tops and bottoms of crypto is literally, you might be able to do it once or twice, but you're not going to be able to do it consistently. You're not. But anyways, let's look at Cardano here. So on the daily for Cardano, one thing I do want to see for Cardano, and we're right at that level right now, so this could be a juicy close here for Cardano. Can we break back above our previous daily close highs? You can see back here in May, we had some previous daily close highs at about 229, right? So right now we're sitting right at about 230, right at about 230. Can we close above those daily previous highs? I'd like to see one more pump here to get Cardano back over that level, which would be great, right? Then we don't have to worry about flipping our old resistance, which turned to support back into resistance, right? We don't want to have to worry about that. So let's hope that Cardano